This is the first day. This is my first stream actually talking about, Man United. Well, no, I did one stream on it, but I'm quite content personally. I said when Ruben Amorim came in, I was like, you get a feeling of getting giddy. I said that, but you're not trying to overstate your giddiness because it's like, he could be the right man, but the players could throw him under the bus, or he might not be the right man, and he might be all talk. He talks a very good game, but I truly think he knows what he's talking about, and he understands what he needs to be as a Man United manager. So when I look at him, he's very confident, charismatic, and when I saw him, I said, "Bruh, we might have something on our hands that the players can actually understand what he's trying to teach them." And he's very clear, concise, and he says everything that the fan base is thinking, but no one wants to say out loud. So that's refreshing. And then we were talking about the first game. It was rough, but you could see the 3-4-3. You could see the passes. He was trying to go outside. It was a bit passive for the players at center back. I feel like they didn't play the ball between the lines enough. So we could see different ways that we could have built up. Because center backs are the ones that progress the ball forward more than the midfielder. But midfielders can also do it. But we saw it on the first goal. Played out to from I'm afraid Mazraoui to Bruno, lay it off to Ahmad. Does the whole run 50 yards up the pitch, cross the ball nicely, right foot right in front of Rashford, and then it's a goal. So you could see the system, and they tried to repeat it, do it again and again, but they pressed higher. They won the ball more often than not. Our players couldn't hold the ball. Bruno, Rashford, Casemiro, and Ericsson were losing the ball, giving the ball away too cheaply when they were some of our best. Well, Ericsson more technically sound, but Casemiro's shown he has better form of late. So this is the issue that I see that we're gonna have to work on it, and that's what happened. You need to be on the training ground to work on these tactics that he wants them to implement to the system and understand how to play football. That's what he always talks about, understanding how to play football first. And then once we have that understanding, it's just going to be second nature. That's what he wants them to be able to do. Think less, because they were overthinking. They didn't know, should I be in this position? Should I pass now? What time should I pass? How should a pass be weighted? Where should I be on the pitch once I make the pass? They're all thinking a lot, from the back line to the midfield to the attack. And there's certain players in that game that were frustrating. I will agree. Garnacho frustrates me, but people are going to say, I hold a different opinion. I say if you step up on that pitch, you got to be ready to be on the pitch. You got to be ready to take that next step to be the main guy, because you got the starting position. Everyone's screaming your name. You think he believes in his hype. He thinks he's that good. So you hope that he's able to reaffirm what the fans think about him. I used to be part of the Giddy crew to saying, yeah, but he's a young player. Maybe he'll be able to develop to another level. I just don't see it as of late. I don't see it right now. So I'm hoping that we're going to be able to see more of him get better. And he's not the only one that I saw that frustrated me. But he had two passes that he could have played into Rashford or played into a striker that could have been scored. Whether they scored it would have been up to them, but he needs to make a right decision. He needs to fix that part of his game. If he gets decision making better, then he'll be a much better player. But I don't know, because when the game gets hot, it gets spicy, and you need to be in it. Does he have what it takes to make that pass and do it for the team instead of focusing on what he needs for himself, and he gets kind of caught up in the moment? But that can happen to a young player, so hopefully he fixed that about his game. That's the main thing I said about his game. Now Rashford, I'll be honest, I don't know where he fits in this team. I hope we're going to put him, he's not going to be a wing back. We all know that. This man does not have the track back nature to just run up and down the pitch At some point, he's going to be like, why do I got to do this? Well, it should be, I have to do this because of the team. He's like, why do I got to do this? After a while, he may do it one game, but he's not going to do it for a long time. So the only position I can see him taking is that shadow striker role right behind the striker, where he gets the ball. He'll be in that what Garnacho played last game, right behind the striker, a left 10 inside forward, where he's going to get more close in the box, make runs into the box, get in behind and score goals. That's the only other position that I can really see. I think he did make good runs last game, but I did think in certain parts of the game he did disappear. But when you didn't, they couldn't build up the play, they couldn't do much with it. What else do you expect Rashford really to do? I'm not going to criticize him like I usually do, because that's not all. This isn't all because of him that we couldn't score goals. We couldn't progress. The center backs were slow. They were passive. They couldn't get the ball up the field. The midfield lost the ball continuously, and that includes the people who were subbed on. He couldn't make passes, but it was a little more solidified. But they also backed off in the second half, so I'm not going to say that I know exactly what happened and how the play developed. But when I looked at it and I said, but Ruben he looked frustrated at the subs as well. Rasmus and the people who were coming on for Rashford because it wasn't working. I'm glad. That's a good positive, though, that he made subs early. Some people could have said he could have made the subs at halftime, but he's going to give them a chance. Because it's a trial and error type of thing, because he come in mid-season, not a lot of training. So I'm not too upset about any of it. Not really upset about any of it from the manager. But the players definitely have to run more. They got to be more committed to play for this manager. And I hope all the smiles that we saw in training is something. But Ipswich were a well-drilled team. They knew exactly how to position themselves, add into the holding positions where they put, what's his name? It's not DePaul. It's, what's his name? From Chelsea, Murray Hutchinson. Yeah. Murray Hutchinson came into that position. He tried to sit right next to the holding midfielder, offer an outlet, sit in between that little gap, and then he just receive, and he'd get by a holding midfielder, Casemiro most time than not, and then he just drive forward and put us under pressure so many times. It's crazy. There's always going to be some gaps, but, I think we did pretty well to be set defensively. I think they weren't really peppering us, but they were putting pressure on us in our own box and keeping us in our box at some points, but we get the ball back and we apply pressure on them. So it's more balanced than we saw under Ten Hag. So that's another positive. So there's a lot of positive and negatives to take with that game. I still, Mazraoui and Ahmad, absolute ball. Onana, I had so much to say about him last year. Watching him, it was the most frustrating thing watching Onana play in goal, because it just seemed like he had butterfingers. This man just butter on his hands, just slip through. His positioning and goalkeeping, making the right decision, coming out, claiming a cross, being demanding. There was some characteristics I thought he had, but he didn't show. So it was rough watching it, if I'm being honest, in certain aspects. But I said, you need to give the man time. That system was putting a lot of pressure on Onana to do a lot more work than he should have to, because the defense should do its job and the midfield should prevent it from getting to the defense as often, and then the attack should be that first line of defense. So I'm not too worried about Onana as right now. Hopefully he can keep this trajectory to the end of the season, because he seems like he's one of the best goalkeepers in the league at the moment. And in world football, you can make the argument. So I'm like, it's good. Round of applause for Onana. I'm very excited to see if he can take that next step. With everybody getting understanding, he'll be able to do less for the team, so he can do more when it counts, and he'll get more comfortable. But yeah, the midfield, you could already see that we need to get new midfielders. That's why I said I talk about Sekou Kone a lot, and I said Sekou Kone being in the team, it sucks that he got injured, because I said I could see him, because Kobe Manu will be there, I could see him playing in that position where he could receive the ball and progress the ball forward, and he's very comfortable on the ball. I could see him taking that spot. and being part of the squad and getting minutes. So it's going to be interesting to see how the manager deals. But he said it, and we'll talk about the press conference a bit later. But it was a tough game. We got 1-1. We were lucky to get 1-1. I'll be honest, but I'll take the point. But it shows you that certain players may not be it. But we're just gonna give them time, a few games. I'm giving 3 to 5 games. But after that, I'm gonna see is like, yeah, it's not gonna work. You're gonna see who gets sold, who needs to get sold, who needs to stay. Hopefully, Bruno, I didn't think was that bad either. I think Bruno was actually able to retain possession. I think Bruno in certain positions, he was better in the second half when he sat deeper. But they did. This is the reason you need to use context, because they did sit off. They didn't press as much and apply pressure on the people that were receiving the ball. So if they did continue their tactic early, would Bruno and Ugarte had the same impact when they were going deeper, when they played deeper? I don't know, but he still played better when he was in that 8 role than he did the 10 role. So I'm excited to see where he's going to put it, because we'll talk about that. But Ipswich 1-1, we'll take that. Next game is Everton on the weekend, but first is Bodo Glimt in the Europa League. Now we're training today, and we're talking about the first training because I didn't do a video on the first training. The first training, it showed you the picture, and that was the PR to show you the structure's there. This is how we're going to play. 3 at the back. This is how we're going to start, because he said, I'm going to do what I know. I'm going to start with what I know, and I'm going to persist with what I know. But that's what he said in the first press conference, that he's going to persist with what he knows. He's going to adapt. And people in the media are always going to say, well, so he's not going to adapt. He can't adapt. No, he said having a sort of structure and a system is that the principles are the same, but the structure is the same, but the formation and certain things and instructions can change. So he told that he will adjust, and he will make substitutions, and he will change it if he needs to. And then you see from the training, you see it was a 3-4-3. Malassi at left wing back, Anthony at right wing back, Casemiro and Mainu in the midfield, and then you had Delit. Was it Delit? No, Delit was on international break. It was Evans, the central, I believe. Luke Shaw on the left, and who's at the right? Leniero at the right. And the thing is, Leniero wasn't playing last game. He wasn't in the squad. I'm actually happy. People have heard, you see all the different content creators you see online, they want Leniero to play. I said, I'm gonna move him. I want him to be slowly brought back in to the squad. I want him to be slowly brought back into the squad, because I believe that Leniero just needs time. I don't want to rush him back in when he just came off an injury, where he was out for a long period of time. And then we're frustrated, like, oh, Leniero doesn't look that good because he's not fit. He's not completely fit. He may be healthy to a degree, but he's not match fit. So you're just trying to get minutes where he's working him in the system, so you understand the system. So when he goes in there, he doesn't look lost, and he has all the full time on the training pitch. That's what I like to see. And he's just going to get trained into it. It's not a setback from what they're telling us. So positive. I'm not too mad about it. And we have other people who can play in that position. Mazraoui showed you he can take up that right center back role, and that we're not going to have that issue going forward, because we have other people that can play in that position. Maguire back in training, that's a positive. People are not going to like it, but Maguire's been pretty decent for the past year. So I'm excited to see if Maguire is going to have that level of impact off the bench. And he says he said in his own words, he said, I see myself fighting for this club. So good for him. Glad to have you back. We need rotation. We need people who can help the team. We need as many players, regardless if you rate them or not. We need bodies, because it's going to be a long season, a lot of games to play, as Ruben said as well. Now, and you can see the underlap. And I'm talking about the training and the tactics. You just saw a little bit underlapping run from the 10. Left wing back just plays him straight in. He can play it back post, or you can to the other left 10 / winger, and then they score from that position. You have the wing backs running in behind, crossing it in the box. So many different things that they can do. So we got a little snippet of what the tactics are and what the formation looks like, and that's what happened. It just, the players couldn't retain possession. They couldn't keep possession. They couldn't sustain attacks. But you could see that they were able to progress the ball in certain areas and be able to hold on to the ball. But they still needed to they need to get used to the passing lanes and the angles they need to take in the positioning and understand where they need to be, so it's, like I said earlier, second nature. So I'm excited to see over time. It's gonna be painful. That's why I said it's like let the suffering begin. Because I'm prepared to suffer. People don't want to admit it, but we suffered under Ten Hag for the past 18 months, maybe a little bit longer since the Barcelona game. He went away from his tactics, and now he's here. And he just said, "I'm just doing whatever I can to survive the job, so I can keep the job." It wasn't about progressing, in a sense. It was just about winning for the sake of winning without any type of foundation. If the winning stops. And people were, I'm not saying blame Ten Hag for it. That's just what he believed was right. And, everybody makes a decision. And that's what it was. And I'm not mad at him for it. It's just I'm mad that certain things he didn't affect the team positively. And he made some poor decisions throughout his tenure. But, his era's over. And you already see Pep's already spiraling out of control. 6 games without a win. Like, bro, and he's talking about harming himself, bro. That's just, so, like, bro, you can't be saying that, bro, because there are kids that watch him, look up to him as a manager. You can't be saying that. It's like, it ain't that deep, Pep. Like, you can want to win, you can be desperate to win, but it ain't that deep. That's off topic. But looking at training, looking at where we're at, I hope we're gonna like you said, it's gonna be difficult. I said let the suffering begin, because he doesn't have that many days to just let them all train together, have a full understanding, because we're in the Europa League and we're in multiple competitions at once. So it's going to be very difficult to help this team develop a continuous understanding if the tactics can't be implemented in training as often as he would like. So I would like him to be on the training pitch more, but you also, at Man United, we're in the Europa League, we need to win. And, that's the job he's tasked with doing. It's a difficult one, but I believe that he can do a good job, and it's just up to the players to take on the instruction. And they all are saying that they understand. They understand he's very direct with what he's saying. He's understandable. So that's something that's good, but no. I don't know when they were talking, and it's going to press conference. He talked about Lisandro Martinez will be returning to training, which is a positive. I thought he was but that's why I said don't listen to. But I've learned don't listen to everything that they say in the media, because someone said he'll be out 2 to 3 weeks, and now he's back this week and he's ready for the game. That's what Ruben said in his press conference. He said Harry Maguire was also in training, but he's going to need more time to get back into full fitness to be able to contribute to the team. So that's a positive too. This is the one thing, we're getting a lot of people back from training, and one thing that I heard him say in the press conference is he wanted rotation in the squad. That's what I appreciate, because he's going to rotate. He said we have to rotate because of the number of games we're playing, and he said in the one before, he's going to have one team that's playing and one team that's training. So the people who don't play train, so they'll be rotated and played for the next game. So you can expect probably a really fresh lineup for the next game, because he said we need to rotate or we're going to have problems down the line. So if we're looking at the lineup, it was Dalit, it was Mazraoui, it was Evans first, and then Luke Shaw came on because it didn't work. It was Casemiro, Eriksson, it was Bruno, Rashford, and Garnacho. So those were the lineup on the outside. Oh, and Ahmad and Delo on the wingbacks. I forgot about the wingbacks. But that was the people who started, and he's talking about rotation, that we need to rotate. So not everybody will be rotated, but I think he's going to rotate quite a few. I think Mazraoui will still play, because I don't think we have really any fullbacks. Or he might take Mazraoui. It's really difficult, because it's also it's difficult for me, because I'm trying to think about who would you position, because he wants to rotate. So I believe the midfield will rotate, because that's why. But they didn't talk about in the press conference of Kobe Mainoo coming back. into the squad and if he's ready to come back, because he was in the squad, but I don't know if he is ready to play. Maybe because he'll be ready to play, but we'll see. I think Kobe Manu will be rotated for this game just to get him at a full fitness match. I think Ugarte will be in the midfield because he came on late into the game. So I think those two will be in it and they'll be rotated out for Casemiro, and Eriksson will be on the bench. Back line is difficult because Harry Maguire's not back yet, but Lissandro I think is going to be in the squad. Luke Shaw is still not fully fit. He might be back. He might play him at wing back. I don't know, but I think Lissandro's going to play this game. I think, sorry. I think Lissandro's going to be playing this game on the left center back role. I think Mazraoui will still play at right center back, right side center back. I think Anthony might play at right wing back because he likes his left footers at right wing back and he likes his right footers at left wing back. So maybe he'll put someone there, because I just feel like Mazraoui has to play in certain position but I feel like if Malacia is fully back, then Malacia will play this game because he's been worked into under 21 games. He's played in 2 under 21 games. Got subbed on in one, played the full 90, almost full 90 in the other, maybe 80 minutes. Then I believe he's going to be ready, and Malacia will play at left wing back. He also talked about, besides rotation, he talked about Marcus Rashford. He said Marcus Rashford. I'll come back to it because I'll talk about left wing backs and who he's going to choose, who's coming back. Because there's so many: Malacia, Martinez, Harry Maguire, Lenny Euro. There's so many people that are injured, but we still have a really big squad. So many people that are injured that need to come back in the squad, but are just trying to get back to full fitness so they can participate in the squad. So that's why I'm not too worried about what's going on in the squad. That's why I'm not too worried about it, because I know that Ruben Amorim is got them understanding. You could see from Bruno when they asked the question about how did it feel to go from one manager to the next, and he said it's kind of tough because you have that relationship with the past manager, and now you're in this position where you need to adapt. But he said you have to look towards the future. And they also asked Bruno a question about the tactics. What does he need to do to adapt to these tactics and develop this understanding? He said what the manager said, we are international players. We play multiple different systems, a different system in our international teams, and we change it. Sometimes it's 3 at the back, sometimes it's 4 at the back. Sometimes I have to play deeper in 8 or a 6, and sometimes I have to play in the 10. Sometimes I play a little bit wider for Portugal. So he said I got to be able to be adapted. I have to adapt. I have to be adaptive in the system so I can play multiple positions and do what I can for the team. And that's why he said, and I said, Bruno seems like, and you can see, we'll see if he plays. I don't know if Bruno's going to play. That's the question: is Bruno going to play this week? That's why I said I don't know how deeply he's going to rotate. I don't know if he's going to rotate keepers. I don't know if he's going to keep Onana in there. I don't know if he's just going to rotate everybody. That's my whole thing with. I don't know how deep he's going to rotate because he talked about rotation. That's my question. But we'll talk about the lineup after, who I think is going to be in the lineup and who's going to be rotated. What else did he talk about? But what I was talking about, they're talking about Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford was mentioned and asked that he was played in the 9 role, and he was asking about where he sees him in the team. The press conference, the reporters were asking where they see him in the team and whether he could work. And the manager said that it doesn't look like, and he said, he was saying, do you think there's a concern about goals in the team, not just Marcus Rashford, and whether you're concerned about whether he can score goals and achieve that form he had before. He said, this is Ruben Amorim was saying, that it is a concern, this goal scoring. And he said Marcus Rashford will not work. Don't paraphrase. Not exact, but he said he doesn't believe that he's going to work at the 9, so you're gonna have to put him somewhere else. And he told them, he said that Marcus Rashford is gonna have to want it if he's gonna want to. He said he's got to want it before anybody else. If he's gonna play in the role, he's gonna have to want it. And people are just gonna read. You can see the clips. Everyone takes things out of context. You don't know what he's thinking or what happened, or if he got instructions beforehand. When Marcus Rashford walked away from Ruben Amorim giving instructions. So, but he says that he thinks it like he's gonna try to get Marcus Rashford to his best form. But he's looking at it. He said Marcus Rashford's got to want it first before anybody else can tell him what to do. Because if he has the desire, then he'll be able to achieve the goal. I believe that he can. I don't rate him as highly. I still think we should sell him and move forward. But if he can have a renaissance in his career as Manchester United, because he is a Manchester United boy, as the manager said, and everybody knows, they said that he needs to be able to take it. He's an experienced senior player. Take criticism. He needs to understand the system, and he needs to commit. And that's why I hope that he's able to do. And maybe in the 10 shadow striker role, he can make runs in behind, score some goals in that position. So that could be positive, but I'm not going to say it's going to happen or not. But hopefully it can happen. But moving forward, Marcus Rashford just got to take that next step. And I'm excited for the next game. It's a home game, so the vibe's going to be completely different than away at Ipswich, where we don't have the crowd. This crowd's going to be fully on their side, and they're going to back. So we're going to see. They can't. The thing is, I felt like the way in which they played, and not like they weren't trying, but they weren't running as much as they needed to and press in certain positions, and they need to press more. And the running stats have to be better. That's what the statistics is telling them, that the running stats need to be better. So I'm wondering is they can't hide in front of the fan base at home. They can't, because the crowd's gonna see it, and they're gonna back this manager, because this is Ruben's first game at home. First game at home, and it's in the Europa League, so they're gonna have to. I think it's this game and Everton's at home, so they're gonna have to show the fans that they get it, that the idea is there. And another thing he talked about someone questioned him about, you talked about this idea and I understand, but it's like, so because you're gonna play in a 3-4-3 means you're never gonna change it. He said no, 3-4-3 is the foundation. That's what he was saying, and we need to have a foundation of where we can. It's the starting point. We may play in a 4-4-2. We play in a 3-4-3, 3-4-2-1, or we may play in different formations because we need to adapt game after game. But the principles will be the same. It seems quite obvious, but the reporter has to ask these questions just so people can be reassured about what they already know. But but one thing I will say is press conference. I like it from everything. Post game, the first press conference, this one, he continuously tells us and says, I don't know. No, he didn't say that. I'm talking about I don't know, but he continuously tells us and is honest about where we are at, how it's going to take time. He needs time. He's not saying that we're just going to win, eras come to an end and all that. He said, I need time to get this system in their minds. They understand it. And I agree with him on the process. And I hope that he's able to achieve the goal that we could see him being successful at. But this is where I hope that they're able to accomplish something. Because I want Man United to go back to winning, but I know it's going to take time. But okay, now we can move on to the structure of the team. I think that the team itself It's still going to be the 3-4-3. They got to get used to the instructions. So what I'm trying to figure out is where is everyone going to play, because you said about rotation. We're back to the rotation part. He wants to rotate the squad because you have to, because the people that are training will play the next game. We're trained for the next game. The people that are playing are going to be rested during this week, maybe played a bit, but they'll have more time just to rest and recover, because recovery is an important part of what we're doing. So that's why it's not that big an issue. So when I think about him, he said some people thought he might not rotate because he doesn't really rotate, but he knows that he has experienced international players, so he said, I'm going to rotate. So Malasia seems like he's fully back. So I'm assumed that Malasia is going to play this game. I think he's going to play in that left wing back role. I think it makes the most sense. I think that Mazraoui, I think he's still going to play, because I don't think we have anyone else at right center back. My question is the academy kid Godwill. Is Godwill going to get a chance today? Because he's been here since the beginning in all the training session, but he's a young player. Does he throw him into this Europa League game and give him that left side center back or central center back right with Licha and let him be a part of it? That's where I'm not quite sure of what. I'm not quite sure. That's the center back roles is really confusing, because I said we only have Godwill, we have Licha, we have Luke Shaw, we have Godwill, Licha, Luke Shaw, Mazraoui, Evans. Those are five, and Evans struggled last game. So I wonder how much he's going to rotate this game, because I think he needs to have somebody. I think DeLitt needs to be rotated. I think Evans will play. I think Licha will play, and I think I want to give the kid a shot, though. I'm be honest. I want Godwill to get a shot, but maybe this is the game. Maybe it's not the game. I hope he gets a shot to play. But he said he's going to rotate in the midfield. We already know. I said Ugarte and Manu will rotate in that midfield. That's not the issue. And then up top, that's really, really interesting. Does Amad Diallo play again? Does he get to say rotate but play? Is he going to play in this right 10 position? Does he play in that right 10 position? That's the real question. Sorry, I blanked. That's the question. Does Ahmad play in that right 10 position to give him a shot in that position? Because we're gonna see is Mount, I believe, will play in one of the 10 positions. He'll rotate there. It's whether who else gets rotated. It's gonna. I think it's gonna be very interesting. They're gone. Yeah, that's the question. I think he's gonna play in the right those 10 positions. I do believe he will. I think that I think Mount's gonna be there. Bruno might play in the right 10, and they may play both of them together. Maybe Xerxes plays in the 10 this round. This time too gets rotated. I think he could rotate the full squad, and I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be mad at it either. So I really do hope to see the next step and us being able to see a little bit more of the idea being executed by the players that the manager wants. And I just want what's best for Man United. It doesn't really matter who plays, who succeeds, as long as we are get back to the best. But I know that's going to take time, and I hope that the fan base have a bit of patience for the manager, and have it for I give him I would have given him the same. I give him this whole year, and then give him to the next year. That's just me, honestly, because I think Ten Hag got a lot of time that I don't think he deserved, and I think he had a lot of results that were really bad. They got really bad, and he set us up to say something different about who he is as a manager and where we should be, and you know. But it is what it is, and you know, this is gonna be a short stream. This is a trial and error talking about the team, and it was a interesting first game. Learned a lot, good things and bad things, and we just hope that the players can figure it out. We hope they improve because we're playing a tough side. He said they're a very intense side. It's going to be a tough game, and these players got to show up. They got to show up today. So that's all I can hope for. Appreciate anyone who watches this back. Like the video, comment, subscribe, give your opinions. I hope you're all doing well. Send a prayer. Lord, send blessing to everyone who watched this video. To everybody, have a good day. Everybody over and sees everywhere finds peace and prosperity. Amen. Amen. Peace.